Hello. I have a treat for you today. At least I think it's a treat. Maybe you don't think it's a treat, but I think it's a treat. Today I'm gonna do a... Okay, let me just clean up for once. Okay. Alright. Okay. So, today I have my IB Visual Arts sketchbook that I kept over the last 2 years. I wanted to make this video because I remember literally not even months ago looking all over YouTube for like samples of people's IB sketchbooks because I wanted to like make sure I was doing the right thing, make sure that it looked good, and I was happy with it. So yeah, I couldn't tell you what score I got in this class because there are reasons why, but I can't tell you the score because I'm not sure. So let's jump into it. If you are familiar with how IB works, essentially at the end of the 2 years you just scan in or take photos and make a slide document or like make it like a presentation. It gets turned into a PDF. So you could do it Google Slides or Microsoft Slides or whatever that's called. But essentially you get to pick what you're going to show them. And so you have to keep a sketchbook for the whole 2 years. They suggest that you really work in it and experiment, and you have to write in it. There's a writing portion to IB. It's not intensive. You don't need to be good at writing, and you don't need to be like a perfect like vocabularist, whatever you want to call it. You just got to be able to present your thoughts and ideas in a manner that they can understand. So for the first page, I just have a color wheel, and then my contact information. I don't really give a heck, but yeah, so I did a picture in watercolor of this photo that I have on my Instagram of San Juan because I took a trip there with my family back in like 2014 or something, and it was a lot of fun, and I wanted to picture that. I wanted to get a picture of it, whatever. And then also we went to, I don't remember what year that was, but I ended up going to the Hemingway house. It was great. There were so many cats. Definitely, if you're a cat person, I definitely recommend. This is in oil or tempera, I don't really know, but it's yeah, it's there. It's not finished, obviously. I don't think I'm gonna finish it, but. And then here I have a cutout of some watercolor from like a page of cold pressed watercolor that I did some doodling on. This is watercolor. This is just like a hand. This was supposed to be like a full sketched out picture in the back, but I got over it really fast. There's some faces on here. We had to make a stamp in my one class for printmaking, but I used the stamps in here just to like talk about how I like to try new things even if they don't go well. There's another color wheel. Color wheels are important, and learning color theory is as equally as important. So if you want to get serious about art, you need to learn some color theory because, again, important. I have no tips for you because yeah, some watercolor up here. I think this is, I tried out my friend's Winsor Newton watercolors. I like watercolors, but I like them in more of a sketchy fashion. I don't really use them to create finished pieces because I feel like they're just so, what's the right word for it? So kind of like, I'm very scared to use them, like adamant to use them, because they're so unpredictable. This is a still life, and I used it for my senior project, but this is just like the rough draft, so yeah. Our first year, for like a couple months, we did these artist studies, and this is somebody that I've been in love with for years. His name's Roberto Ferri, and he does a lot of a little bit of mythology and a little bit of religious art, and his portraits are always very like beautifully intense, and the subjects are always so like softly portrayed. Like, they're very submissive, and I really enjoy his oil paintings. I think he's the main reason I started getting into oil painting. For my next artist, I've also been following her for years, Beth Stitcher. She makes these really awesome 3D sculptures. They're mostly made out of clay, I believe, and they're just really cool. Her whole ideology and the reason behind her type of art, or I don't really know how you would say it, but the reason she has these animals is they're supposed to show human qualities but be portrayed by animals. So in this photo it's a fox, but on its finger there's a ring, and then it's caught in here. So I don't know if she ever, you could check out her website, I don't know if she ever explains any of her pieces, but it's like, it goes into deeper meaning than just looking at like pretty but weird like animal art, you know what I'm saying? So I really enjoy her artwork. Never got into clay myself because clay's very messy, and it's just not really my thing, I guess. This is another printmaking thing. We did this with the there's like this gray material that you like carve into. I forgot what it's called, but it's like, it's interesting. It takes like a while to actually like carve into it, especially if you're gonna do like an intricate design, but it's definitely a very fun process, and I'm glad I got the chance to do it. So yeah. We also had to do mind mapping in my class. Most of these prompts, or whatever you want to call them, are from the first year, so there's like a little bit of structure in the first year, at least at my school, and they tell you like exercise to do, and then your second year is very like up to you what you want to do. We focused on paintings mostly. For the third artist in the sketchbook, I think, I have this guy named Justin Sweet. He does conceptual art, and I've always really been into video game art and concept pieces for video games. And this guy, I think this is from, oh my gosh, I guess, is it The Hobbit? It might be The Hobbit. It might be, I don't know what it's from actually. I probably said it here. But yeah, he is a very cool artist. I would suggest you check him out. I can read it here. He's worked with several game companies to create concept art for games like Fallout and Hearthstone. He has also worked with Marvel to create movie concept art, and his art is influenced by movies like The Hobbit. And I don't know what that says. Guardians of the Galaxy. Oh, and Game of Thrones. Yeah, so there's a lot of fantasy elements in his artwork. I think that's really cool. Okay, I'm back. Let me run through this really quickly. This is from the Cayman Islands. Took a trip out there. Very cool. This is a little turtle that I should probably finish. It's I don't know where it's from. I don't know where it's from. Turtleneck. Apparently it just says a turtleneck. Whatever. This is for oh, so also for the first year, my teacher had us. She had like a structure for our projects, so she had us do. I think there were like 3 or 4 or 5 projects throughout the year, but she gave us like, you have to work with this or this or this material, so you got to pick, and it was cool. So I did acrylic painting for this first project, and I essentially did like it was supposed to be more conceptual than anything, of my friend who identifies as trans. And so I was coming up with some thumbnails for how I wanted to make that portrait. So yeah. I don't remember the bait. I think it was like artistic self-portraits or something. I don't know, something like that. Then here we had to learn about a specific media, I believe. Okay, so we, she called it a media blitz, and this is, so we worked with watercolor, acrylic, and I believe oil paint to create a couple pieces. And here's my watercolor page. This is, we had to find an artist for each type of material, so, or each medium. And I don't know who this is. Oh, this is still Justin Sweet. This is Justin Sweet. He does like these really cool like watercolor paintings where you can barely, you can see the picture when you stand back, but if you look at the short details and zoom in, it just looks like blobs of paint. But it's really cool. I think this is a rhino, this is a gorilla, and this looks like some kind of bird, but I'm not sure. Maybe it's a dinosaur. Anyway, it's really cool. I never really ended up incorporating that method into my artwork, but yeah. And then so there's a page of watercolor techniques. I think basically she told us we're gonna do watercolor today. She showed us a couple sides, and then we had to go out on our own and figure out like different techniques and stuff. So like I ended up traveling to the library and picking up a book, and then going online. Then we had to work on acrylic painting. What I ended up doing was playing around with some acrylics. I wanted to see how my acrylic paints would paint on black. They did okay. And that's supposed to be a makeup palette. I just never finished it. Maybe I'll finish it, I don't know. And then I messed around here with that. This is a coat that I found at a thrift store, and I was like, oh my god, I need this coat, but I didn't end up buying it because I don't know why. It was a great coat. And this is supposed to be a sunken ship. I just like the color palette that was in the picture that I found it from, but I didn't end up painting it. So, and then on here, this is more of like, I was messing around with the colors, but I don't know. I was just having fun and making a more developed piece into something. So yeah. Here is another artist. I was never really into acrylic paint, so I don't really remember her name, but she has some really cool, it's right here if you want to look her up, but she has some cool paintings that she does with acrylic. I think she lays down a base color and then she works on that really quickly, and like you could see palette knife strokes in here. It's really cool. It's a cool type of art, but I don't think it's really, I'm not really into it, I guess. I mean, this is really cool, but I would never do it for myself. So then here, this was my watercolor practice, because I didn't really have watercolor practice on the other page. I just did techniques. I was gonna fill this in, but then all the lines started getting, you know, how do you call it? I wish my words would work with me. It just seemed like a jumble mess, so I kind of just like, I started lining them, and then from there, I just, yeah. It's supposed to be from a picture of me and my friend. Here, I mixed up my art with an artist. I believe his name's Ivan Alfin. He's really cool. His art is, I love this picture, it's so funny. His art is very like dreamlike in a way, but this was what I was most interested in. I found this video on Instagram of him actually like painting this. He did this oil painting that had too many layers, like hundreds and maybe thousands of layers on it. So it began to have a more 3D effect to it. And like, again, it's more like dreamlike, so not everything's crisp, and I really love that about this painting. It just kind of like mixes together, but it makes such a beautiful like painting. I really, in my first year, this is what I wanted to achieve with my art, and that definitely changed as time went on, but yeah, so there's like mushrooms here, and I really like mushrooms, so I did a mushroom painting here. I really like this. I have more in the end of this sketchbook. So yeah, and then I also did my oil painting practice on sheets of, I think that's just canvas paper, and then I stuck them in here. First I glued them, and then they came out. And then I had to tape them, and then that wasn't working, so I stapled them into my sketchbook. I think this one's still glued on somehow. Amazing. But yeah. This is some watercolor. I think watercolor and oils kind of they kind of reflect each other. They mix well. So that's why a lot of my my sketches for any oil paintings are usually in watercolor. Here's another unfinished watercolor painting. It was supposed to be, there's this beautiful model. I believe she's from Europe, probably Sweden. But maybe I'll include the picture in the video, but I have been following her for a while, and I just love her. I don't know if she's on Instagram, but she should be. I also, my teacher had this bucket of fabric, and these were some of the ones that I really loved. This one has little artichokes on it, I believe. This one has some mixed veggies, and then this one has ladybugs. So I just put them in there to like break up the fact that I was using a lot of 2D stuff in my artwork. this is from my self-portrait project. We had to do like another creative self-portrait, and I ended up making an oil painting that was very influenced by the sky, and it was just my face and a bunch of mushrooms. And honestly, the concept is way stronger than the actual piece. I said in a previous video that I don't have any access to my art pieces that I did in the class, because most of them I've either recycled into new paintings, or I gave them away to family members. So yeah, maybe I can do like a portfolio walkthrough or something, but we'll see what happens. There's a political comic that I did for my IB English. There's some more watercolor stuff on this page. This is cut out. And watercolor. Yeah, this was just getting me ready for painting the self-portrait. So next page. This one, I don't remember the prompt for it, but I ended up making this singular, like solitaire. So I don't remember. Hello. So like it's just like one figure in the middle of this vast sand dune. So it's supposed to like represent isolation. But I couldn't decide. On the character's gender. And I was told that if I had put boobs in the painting, I probably wouldn't have been able to put it in the hallway. So I was like, look, I need exposure, even though like my school's pretty small. But yeah, I ended up making the character male, which was not fun. So yeah, this was not one of my stronger pieces if you look at the finished piece, but the concept is there. Like, all my concepts are there. It's just when I execute them, they feel like they're lacking, in my opinion. But originally, the character was robed, and I felt, okay, well, if you're isolated, you're kind of vulnerable. So I ended up making her slightly naked and having this really intricate skirt, a very long skirt that was going all the way down, but and it had a bunch of patterns, but I never even like ended up doing the patterns. It was just a plain red skirt, and it was just a flop. I'm not proud of myself. So for my IB English class, we had to make these cards from this game that my teacher made us play, but it was supposed to be based on identity. And again, I was tackling issues of gender roles, and then like, I guess, trans visibility. And I don't remember what I ended up doing for the card, but she has it. So on the next page, this is from IB English, the political cartoon. I made like a rough sketch of it. Here I just have some characters. This is James Charles, and this is Beyonce from the music awards. It doesn't really look like her, so it made me kind of sad, but yeah. It's in watercolor. I really enjoyed it. We visited this museum in it's in Albright Knox in Buffalo. I enjoyed the museum visit, and I really enjoyed some of the pieces that were there, but for the most part I didn't really know what to say about them, because they were interesting, but they weren't like really pertaining to my kind of art, so I just kind of babbled on. There were some really interesting pieces in here. This one was my favorite because it was a very big painting. I don't know how long or big it was. It's by Frank M. Moore. The closer you step to the painting, you can actually see he painted in the chemical compounds, I believe, of what is found in the Niagara Falls water. And I thought that was just genius because it really got you looking at the painting from like all different like perspectives, like close up and farther back. So it was a beautiful painting anyway. It looks literally like a photo, but they had a couple of a blend of 3D and 2D stuff. So this was a painting, but it was kind of 3D because it had like string or something in it. This was also, that had string in it. There were some very interesting artwork there. And then they had a whole room of like, I guess there were brass sculptures, and there were like so many faces, and there was beautiful figure of a woman, and she was very thick as a kid would say. She was very thick, and it was just such a beautiful sculpture. Like, I've never been into sculpture, and I've never been into clay, and I've never really been into like 3D stuff, but it was beautiful. I get passionate. This was my absolute favorite painting in the entire museum. It's called The Marvelous Sauce. And is this the guy who did it? It's an oil painting by George Vibert. This painting just had so much detail in it. It was literally just a scene from like a royal kitchen, but there was just so much going on in the photo that it was just it was beautiful. Like, it was an actual masterpiece. Forget Mona Lisa and forget all those Picasso, I don't know him. This painting was amazing. Like, it's beautiful. I would make it my background screen picture if I could, but you know. This was more thumbnailing for this picture that I didn't end up liking. I first took it into Photoshop, and I thought I was gonna do it in Photoshop, but then I realized I'm not good at Photoshop because I literally just picked it up like the end of my first year of IB. So I was kind of rusty, and it wasn't working out how I wanted it to go. So I ended up using what I did on Photoshop as a thumbnail or sketch, and then working with oil on a canvas board. I wonder what time it is. Oh, here it is. There's the thumbnail from Photoshop. Yeah, I really didn't like it. And then here I was gonna do like another political piece, and it was about I got into Shane Dawson. Love Shane Dawson. But he does this conspiracy videos, and I think one of them he mentioned that when big like news that doesn't make America look great comes out, it seems like these consumer like products become huge. So essentially, when I could probably read the abstract that I wrote. When the unicorn frappuccino came out in America, I think there was like a missile attack or something from the US that I don't really remember what it was like saying, but it was something that made the US not seem like very good, which It's not very good anyway, but yeah, yeah, it just is. It's about conspiracy theories, and it's about the fact that we always seem to distract from negative media, and we try to turn it towards like neutral or positive stuff. And it seems like as Americans, we're very easily distracted by our frappuccinos. But so this was the end of the first year. I believe we started talking about cohesive bodies of art. So that was a theme in our art that we'd have to showcase throughout the year. So when we send in our pieces, we could get graded on its theme. And so, okay, I'm back. So for this piece, I wanted to show my Spanish heritage by doing like the piece that had to do with traditional Spanish foods that we eat, like plátanos and arroz con dulces and pasteles. And so I ended up scrapping the idea, but it's there. It's still in my sketchbook. I don't know. Yeah. So instead of doing the Spanish heritage thing, I ended up doing this piece that was like about feeling paranoid and feeling judgment when it comes to like food. So there's just a plate of pasta, and I think the meatballs started turning into eyes or something. I don't remember how. It was like a normal plate of pasta, and then it slowly got weirder and weirder, and then it faded to black, and then there were just eyeballs staring at you. It was like a conceptual piece, but it was like a weird, like trippy kind of thing. Yeah. And then here, I got this acrylic paint that has like a, I forgot what that's called. It's like, oh, ew, a shine to it. But yeah. I took some stuff from my old sketchbooks and I cut them out and I taped them in here, so that's what all this is. And that's from the artichoke pattern there. So, and then here's some more of the pasta stuff. I should have ended up going with this composition because I think it looked more interesting than just a plate of pasta. But it ended up looking kind of more like this. And there's some eyes and the meatball. And here is gouache. I think this is gouache, experimentation / practice. It doesn't really look like gouache, but okay. I recreated this beautiful photo of Skeletor. And then underneath all of this, there's some watercolor pieces, or not watercolor pieces, but oil. I experimented with oil paint and trying to use different types of like oils and extracts to make different consistencies. I think I ended up liking this one. It was with the sweet almond. It didn't really make, like, this one was avocado oil and it made it blend out like almost like it was like watercolor, and it was really weird. But this one was nice too. It was jojoba oil. It looks normal, but this one it seemed like it made it thicken a little bit, and that was interesting. I just wanted to experiment with it and throw some ideas around. My main thing was that I wanted to see if I can add extracts into oils to see if they would smell after they dried. And I haven't done that yet. I think maybe that I'll do that for a next project. In the summer of 2016 or 17 or something, I took a pre-college class in at Mecca in Maine. It was an awesome experience. I loved the entire thing. I met a lot of awesome people, and most of them I still stay in touch, and one of them has become my best friend, so but yeah, it was a lot of fun. There was a lot of like little spots that we get to go to. I really enjoyed it. And then later in the summer, I think this is supposed to be ticket stub. I'm gonna yank it out and then paint over it. Sorry, not sorry. Oops. And later in the summer, I had a very busy summer. I went to Maine, and then I did my internship for school, because that's a graduation requirement. And then I went to Montreal. I'm not sure if it was in that order, but I went to Montreal for a weekend trip with my mom and her friend, and we went to this really awesome museum, the Montreal Museum of Fine Arts. It was so big. Yeah, it was like a couple of buildings connected through an underground tunnel, and it was really impressive. It was just so big, and there were like so many different types of art there, and yeah, it was just really impressive. Like, I loved it. Here I took this idea, and I wanted to do like some faces of some of my video game characters and my original characters, and do it in like a big scroll kind of thing. I think the concept needs fine-tuning, but it could have been cool, I guess. Yeah. Here we're getting to like the very end of the book, but here's some like watercolor and like general stuff that I worked with. I turned this into a piece. I don't really, is that acrylic? It looks like acrylic. It's acrylic, and then some colored pencils here and watercolor here. I forgot what I called it. It was something, I don't know. It was like an okay piece. This was a postcard I received from a friend. It's from the Louvre. She got to travel there, and she brought back this. I really like it. It's cool. I don't know that piece's name, but yeah. This is also a piece that I did. The pen is mightier than the sword. I think you can see my cohesive body of art later in the book. I have like a page where I talked about it. This, I ended up doing one, I think this is the one last. I ended up doing one last artist for the inspiration or whatever. I don't know what you call it. Referencing another artist for her. Anyway, it's Audrey Leclerc, and if you are in YouTube, you might know her. She has an Instagram, I think, but she does some really awesome art, and I think she works mainly in gouache, watercolor, and like Photoshop. And so here's some of her pieces. They're really cool. You can find them on her website here. For this project coming up, I wanted to do a self-portrait, but I had to decide. There was this concept. I don't remember where I got it from, but it is referencing something. Someone had said, I think it was one of those inspirational videos or a TED Talk or something. Someone had said there are three 3 versions of yourself. The one that you show to the public, to everyone. The one that you only show at home, so it might just be your family and maybe your friends. And there's one that no one sees besides yourself. And I thought that said a lot because I think about it and I feel like I guess it could be linked back to YouTube. What you see on YouTube of what you perceive as someone's day or life is not actually how it is. We like to glamify our life for social media to make it seem like our lives are really entertaining and awesome and cool, and for a select tiny amount of people, what they have on social media might actually reflect how their life is. And I'm talking about like movie stars, not even movie stars, I'm talking about maybe rappers. Maybe. But for the most part, everything's very glamified, and I thought that was really cool to think about. And so I was gonna do a piece where it was like my 3 sides, but I didn't want to like make it seem kind of like attention hoarding or whatever, so I ended up scrapping the idea. And then I came up with this other idea that I was gonna do a self-portrait where okay, so obviously I'm was a teenager, and I had really bad acne. I still have bad acne, it's just not as bad. And I forgot what it's called, but you get like dark marks wherever your pimples dissolve from. It doesn't matter if I pop them or not. So I have that skin thing, and so what I wanted to do was make my zodiac sign, which is Cancer, out of the acne marks, and I thought that was pretty cool. Okay, so there was a picture of me. It's a selfie, and I have a strawberry in my mouth, and I ended up turning it into another like how do you call it, conceptual piece, where I named it Temperance. And it's kind of, if you dig deep into it, you can think about it and like it's open to interpretation. But my idea with it was Temperance was like kind of like tackling the issue of dieting in the 21st century, and how a lot of young girls are like forcing themselves to diet when they're like in middle school or whatever, because I did that. And it's just supposed to be like kind of like a how do you call it? I can't use words. It's supposed to say something about that. So for this next thing, I was gonna do a mini series of inks where I was gonna do like, it was surrounded on the topic of periods in America and how it's kind of taboo to talk about it for some part. Definitely back in a couple of years ago. It's a little different today, but back a couple of years ago I felt like it was like very kind of like no one really talked about it, and it was just weird to me. So I was gonna do a mini series, didn't end up doing that. This next one is a collage. I took a bunch of pictures from the National Geographic books, and I just put them together, and I think it looks pretty cool. I wish there was something I could put here to make it look like this kept going, but yeah, I really like it. It looks good. I like the green and the blue. And then the next page, I took a bunch of magazines and I cut them together. I really like the background of this, and this lady, someone had already like cut her in half a little bit, and so I just cut her completely, and I have an avocado inside of her. That's so weird. It's fun. And then another collage. I just like this. This is cool. And then this is also like, this is really cool. It's like, I don't know what it's called. Cellophane or something. This, I did some embroidery stitching. And then this is a beet. And this is a flower. It's just fun stuff. here. This is Copic marker, this is pen. It's supposed to be like the same picture. It's supposed to be like, there's this bush in the back of my yard that I seem to always be gravitated towards. So yeah. And then here for my our final project was to put together our art show, and it was just like in our school. So I had organized my paintings so that it would kind of make like a human, kind of. So you have the head, the hearts here, and then the two arms on either side, and then up here were some like not portraits, but like landscape portraits, I guess. And then down here was this painting that I did. It was supposed to reflect my time that I spent in Puerto Rico, and we were always on the beach. And it was like, so it was footsteps on the sand, but out of one of the footsteps there was a plant growing. And essentially my whole thing about that was that everywhere you visit, you leave a part of yourself, and everywhere you visit, you bring something from there. So in life, you should just like travel as much as you can, because you become more of an authentic person when you do, because you're bringing parts of other places with you back to where you live or wherever you end up living or whatever. And then you're also leaving a part of, hopefully a good part of you. And then for this, these are some conceptual pieces for the rest of my body. It starts getting really sparse because it's like the end of my sketchbook, and I haven't finished the sketchbook and I want to. So here's a full page. Did I talk about this? Oh, yeah, these are just conceptual pieces. I didn't really mention that, but yeah. And then these are some mushrooms. I just did them with acrylic. I did a spec. I used one of these to get the white background, and I wanted to leave some structure in there, so there's like a lot of texture in these. And then I painted the little mushrooms, and then I put in the details, and then I did pen, and then I let this dry. I really like these. They're fun. They don't, I mean, they're not concept heavy, but they're there. And then there's a couple blank pages. I hope to fill them. This was another like collage thing. I took I have these Game Informer things from when my brother subscribed to them, and this is from like a magazine. And then I made a border here. I wanted to do something here, so I just plastered I don't know who that is. It looks like Solid Snake, but I know it's not Solid Snake. So don't come at me. Some video game character. Put it on the girl, and they kind of look like the same person, so it's kind of funny. But yeah, a lot of my collages are supposed to be viewed as like kind of funny. So, and then here I had a pressed flower, which is literally falling apart, from my garden, and I dried it literally for over a year, and it's still pretty thick. And I just put it in here. This is, hello. This is, we got elected for senior superlatives at my school, so this is the one that I got, most artistic, well, whatever. And then these are some patches that I made with acrylic and some jeans, old jeans that I recycled. So yeah, hope you enjoyed my sketchbook. Sorry I had to run it pretty quickly at the end there. I have to be in the next town over in the span of an hour, so I gotta get going. But I hope you enjoyed that tour. I would love to do more with my more recent stuff. Just let me know. Drop a comment, drop a like, and have a wonderful day. Bye.